Parents, teachers, therapists, coaches, anybody who's interested in supporting kids with executive function challenges. This is Benya, little cameo here, and it is day 1 of 10 Days to TEFOS. What do you want, Benya? Oh, you want this? What is that? It's a brain executive function. You like the brain? Okay, thank you for the cameo. You can go play now. She doesn't really want to hang out here and do this right now. She has better things to do. Because do you know what? Dogs have executive function. I'm going to explain that to you. I'm going to talk about the brain right now, and I'm going to tell you 4 things. So first of all, welcome again from me, Seth Perler, to TEFOS. We're starting in 10 days. And as we're doing this, and I'm doing this 10 Days to TEFOS series, I've been doing this for a few years, and I really enjoy creating these. But I want to get you ready for TEFOS, and I want to give you something of value each time. So I'm going to talk about 4 things with the brain. The first thing I want to talk about with the brain is that executive function basically takes place in what's called the prefrontal cortex, or the frontal lobe, or the front third or so of your brain. If you put your hand on your forehead, right behind your forehead is where the frontal lobe of the brain is. If you look at this brain model and the skeleton, you can see that this front part of the brain is basically where the prefrontal cortex, or the frontal lobe, or this frontal area of the brain is. And that's where we believe executive function is more or less taking place. Now, dog, there she is, Benya, does have executive function. She's like, I want to do something fun. So she's just hanging out waiting. We're not doing anything fun right now. You're sick of the video? She's sick of the video. Sorry. But she thinks maybe the mic smells good. Yeah? All right. So she does have executive function. Now, in our brain, it takes up about a third or 30% or so of our brain is the prefrontal cortex, or the frontal lobe, is where this takes place. In her brain, it's about 10%. And you know what? For cats have executive function too. Can you guess how much, what percentage of the brain, a cat's brain, is with their frontal lobe? It's about 3%. So, cat lovers, sorry, no offense to you, of course, but the complexity of a dog's executive function and their ability to execute on complex things is quite a bit greater than cats. Okay, I know you can argue differently. And for humans, it's about 30%, so it's more than dogs. And you can also argue that us humans don't always use our brains so well anyway. But the point is that we do have this thing called the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe, this front part of the brain that basically is where executive function is happening. And different animals have executive function as well. And what it allows us to do is it helps us to execute tasks, to do complex tasks. Me creating this video right now, it's requiring a lot of executive function. I have to be able to focus, concentrate, pay attention. I have to be able to resist distractions. Benya's right here, but I am ignoring her for the moment. So I'm focused on one thing. I'm prioritizing. That's part of executive function. I'm regulating emotion. There are all these different aspects to executive function. I've planned this video. I've managed my time so I can be here. So this is happening with my executive function. And I said I was going to tell you 4 things. The second thing I want to talk about with executive function is that this front part of the brain for humans continues to develop until we're about 25 or 30 years old. So if your child is struggling with executive function, yes, they may have a delay. I, as an adult with executive function challenges, but definitely as a kid with executive function challenges, was a few years behind my peers when it came to executive function. There are other things I was more advanced on, but my executive function and my ability to execute on important tasks and to self-start and to plan and organize and all these things, I really struggled a lot, and I was way behind my peers with that. So the brain continues to change. It does change. The neurons are firing, they're wiring. The brain, that part of the brain is developing. So your child's the executive function, when you support your child in ways that really support their executive function in healthy ways, effective ways, there's so much hope. You might be wondering, because I've worked with so many parents, I hear the same things over and over. Is my kid going to be okay? Are they going to be able to have a good career? Are they going to be able to pull it together? Are they going to be living in my basement when they're 40 years old playing video games all day? Like, parents have very real concerns that I hear over and over and over and over. And the good news is there is so much hope. The brain is developing so much. And when we have effective interventions, it helps. And you being here at TEFOS helps. Now, number 3, I said I was going to tell you 4 things about the brain. Number 3, whenever I do presentations, my very end of the presentation is always about the most important thing. And what I believe to be the most important thing is relationships with the people that you care about. So your relationship with your child, in my opinion, is the number one most important thing. And what does that have to do with executive function? Well, if we back up and look at why it's the most important thing, and that is what life is about, is the people in our life that we care about, and having great relationships with them, building those relationships, having them be healthy, joyful relationships where people feel seen and heard and known and understood and supported. So the most important thing is the relationship. And when our kids have that secure attachment, if you will, that secure relationship with us, where they do feel heard by us, they do feel seen, they do feel known, they do feel understood. And we as the adults have worked through our baggage, because we all have it. And we've worked through a lot of our baggage where we can show up differently for our kids. When our kids are in a more emotionally regulated state and they feel safer, more emotionally safe and more connected and more like they belong and all these sorts of things, that part of the brain, the frontal lobe, works more effectively. We can use our executive functions more effectively when we feel safe. So my number 3 thing was that the most important thing is relationship. And my number 4 thing, and it is related to this, and it's not directly related to brain, but is this. After interviewing so many experts over the years, one of the most common, when I ask them what hope and encouragement and inspiration do they have for parents, one of the most common things they ever say is they say something like this: you're not a bad parent. You're here. You are the perfect parent for your child. What they mean is that a lot of parents who work with these parenting experts hear from a lot of parents that parents wonder or ask or think that they're a bad parent. And parents who are taking action, trying to learn about parenting, trying to learn about how to help their kid, how to serve their kid, about executive function, about their child's needs, their emotional needs, their social needs. Parents who are involved in trying to learn these things, you being here means that you are the parent who is doing the things to support your kid. And then they'll often say something like, the speakers will often say something as an encouragement thing, as you are the perfect parent for your kid. And I've heard so many speakers say this over the years. It's so interesting to hear patterns like this. But what I hear in this is that you really are the perfect parent for your kid. Your kid needs you. Your kid is learning from you, whether you know it or not. The things you're trying to teach and impart upon your child, they're landing. It may not seem like it, but they are picking up on what you're trying to teach and how you're trying to guide them. So you're not a bad parent. You're a good parent. You're here. You're doing the work. You're taking the time, and you are the perfect parent, the exact parent that your child needs. You are that parent. So keep at it. So glad you're here, TEFOS. If you like what I'm doing, share executivefunctionsummit.com with your friends right now. Grab the link. We also have the link TEFOS25 this year.com. You can share that with people. And I am so glad that you're here. Welcome to 10 Days to TEFOS, day 1. I will see you tomorrow for day 2. Take care.